Hello and welcome back. Um, Sorry for anyone who was no, I'm not. I don't apologize, but you're going to be getting the fuller version of that where I can go over the information I was want to touch upon. But folks, you're going to be getting a schedule too. Like the live shows, it's too easy to get distracted and lose the flow. But I mean, it's like I said at the very beginning, it's an important topic. And it's frustrating to me personally when when someone sums up what you say, like it's what do you call it? A pet peeve. Like I don't know. Anyways, it's neither here nor there. Bringing back my childhood stammer. But I had like a whole litany of things. I missed the Bible study this week, so I apologize again for that. And yeah. So let's talk about those monsters and cryptids that everybody likes to talk about, because that's what we're here for, is monsters and cryptids, right? I remember when I went down to Brown Springs one time. That's when I saw. Let's see what story I want to tell. The time that I heard samurai chatter. It's the only time I heard samurai chatter. You see, and it's probably the fourth time I went in there. As a matter of fact, I know it was number 4, and it was me and my girlfriend's 2 sons, and we went in together, and we heard what sounded like monkeys about 50 to 80 yards away, and they got even closer to about 40 yards away in the brush, but we couldn't see them. And then we heard samurai chatter, don't you know? The end. That really happened too. Isn't that a cool story? You know, the older I get, the more I hate these doggone monsters. I'm trying to stop cussing, but I hate them. I hate their guts. If I had my choice, I would kill every mad jack one of them. And I had in my mind there for about 6 week periods that that's what I was going to do. I have a pretty good game plan. But I mean, I don't want to kill just one of them. I want to kill them all. Murder every last one of them. Females, their children, and burn the bodies. Burn them from existence. These things don't have to be demons to take you down a dark path. They don't have to be. I thought Brooke said Kang at first. I was about to say, yeah, I am Kang. Yeah, I want to go I am Kang on them. Wouldn't that be gnarly? Just to kill every last one. I'm talking about the werewolves, direwolves, dogmen, Bigfoot, the goat man, which I believe is a satyr. To just get rid of every last one of them. They're no good for nobody. Thank you, brother Angelo. I ain't seen you in a while. What's up, bro? They're no good for nobody. And like, do I think they're all demons? No, I think the words that I chose to express myself. That's what I think, and I think that the whole field is demonic. You don't have to be a physical, or I guess they're not physical, a non-physical, non-corporeal demon to do some demonic shit. Like, I mean, I know some people that are demonic who the demons, they wouldn't even, they say, no, I ain't even messing with that. You humans can have that problem. Like my ex, and oh yeah, you know that guy Scuffy Scuffington, Cluffy Cluffington, or something like that. That channel where they're all talking shit on me. That's my old roommate, don't you know? It's my old roommate that was living with me at the same time as the Batmom, and now they're engaged to be wed. So this isn't any. He's not some like some journalist with a bunch of integrity. He's my ex roommate, and they ran off together. Now, why they're obsessed with me, I'm sure I do not know, because they're heroin addicts. I don't know why they're like so adamant to. But anyways, who cares? Oh, I'm sorry, former heroin addicts, as far as I know. But they're not some sort of pillars of faith and piety. But I'm telling you, this field is disgusting, and it's filled to the brim with witches, demonized people, and if they're neither one of those, they're just straight up just ugly-hearted monsters. They don't care about you even if they're smiling in your face, eating breakfast at your table. Folks, my old co-host, who I sectioned off a piece of my channel for, his name is Tex, came into my home, sat down right in front of me. This is when I gave my confession of my profession of faith, and confessed that I am a Bible reading, Jesus loving Christian. And I guess I was doing that a little bit too much. This man came and sat down and sat on one couch. I sat on the other one, looked me right in the eyes and said, "Hey, I think we need to tone it down with the Jesus stuff. You're turning a lot of people off with it." But see, I was reading the analytics, and I knew when I started confessing my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ that my channel grew exponentially. They weren't the only person on my team. The channel grew. I had personal growth. But then, like, there were ones who were telling me, "Oh, well, no, you need to pipe down with that." And folks, if you remember the old channel, I really wasn't. This is not like it is now, where I got a whole coven of witches killing kittens and piglets to pray against me. What are they praying to anyways? Not even little G guys. They don't even know what they're worshiping. You think a fallen angel's going to go somewhere to a reservation in Oklahoma or some a fool's house and wherever, somewhere in the deep south? I ain't going to dox their ass, but anyways, it becomes very, 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 very frustrating. That man looked me in the eyes and said, "Yeah, you're on your soapbox." Nobody's ever heard me say anything about anyone's sin. I don't try to condemn anybody for anything they do. I don't care. That's between you and the God you serve. I encourage people in the faith, and still people that want to turn and rend me. It makes no sense until it does. So no, I got off track, and I apologize for that, but I am going to put it in a video package so you can get the entirety of everything that I wanted to get out. And that's my fault. I sincerely do apologize to all you guys. But there's some other stuff I want to chop it up with you about, if I may. But yeah, folks, I'm done playing with them. I'm going to start telling on all they stupid asses. You know what I'm saying? Piss on them. Who said you killed kitten? No, he's in there playing around. Goofy son of a gun. You keep pushing. That's what I'm going to do, bro. Like, none of them have the minerals. They don't have what it takes. They ain't got the sand, bro. You know that, and I know that, and God knows that. Don't nobody have what it takes to do what needs to be done to get me to shut up. I can tell you that much. I mean, as long as I draw breath in my lungs, I was doing it in prison. All these so-called Muslims and their faith, and yeah, they were discussing the Lord Jesus Christ, and one of them actually came out of that stuff, came to the winning team. I'll tell you what, though, we're going to start seeing more of these manifestations of so-called aliens. There's people now talking about dragons and dinosaurs over in like the New Mexico area. I believe them. I believe the veil is thinning. I believe that little space between all these other, because there's other dimensions. Let's be real. We know that. The Bible says it. Talks about a first, second, and third heaven. There's earth. Beneath the earth, there's hell, Tartarus, Sheol. These are all different places. And I don't think you can get there in a rowboat into some of these places. And that's why, out of all the religions and all the pantheons, I studied the heathens, the pagans, like Zeus. Listen to me, I'm lost in the sauce now. Odin, Thor, Frigga. It always fascinated me the way because theirs is unique, more unique than the other heathen nations. Number one, they know that those gods are real. They're not just going through some religious trappings. They know they're real. Number two, they know that the God of heaven, the creator God, is real. That's about as far as they go with it. But if you read the divine, and I always say it wrong, the divine Edda, I believe it is, which they don't have a whole binded Bible. There's a collection of poems and stories about their gods. But if you read that, the Ragnarok, the end of gods and man, it ends with all the gods fighting to the death these other gods, right? And these other gods and these other entities, these monsters. And the last the last one to fall, I believe, is Thor and the world serpent, right? The Leviathan of the story. But in the middle is the tree Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil, I believe, Yggdrasil. And from Yggdrasil emerges a man and a woman to restart and replenish the earth. So basically, that's the Viking world acknowledging the end of their world and the beginning of Christianity. I always thought that was fascinating. Because that's straight up, I mean, when you look at Yggdrasil, and I don't know what it means, one of y'all probably do, but it's I think it's pretty phenomenal that there's so much cross-pollination through all these religions. The Mahdi in the Nation of Islam, the Mahdi comes up from a well. This is their Messiah character. He'll come up from a well, and he'll preach how Christians need to get down or be put down and all that kind of stuff. And then Jesus comes back, and he's the prophet Jesus, and he's going to break the cross, don't you know? And he's going to tell us that we were all under this illusion, so we're going to have one more chance. So, I mean, that's kind of wacky, but it does line up with Scripture, doesn't it? Where's the Antichrist spirit supposed to come from? A pit, right? They're talking about this Mahdi character coming up from a well. Interesting, that. But you know, I had a choice about 6-7 months ago. I was looking at the algorithms, and I said, you know what? People seem to dig my voice a little bit. I bet I could just narrate some stories and narrate the stuff they send me and keep my religious beliefs to myself. Or I could do what the Lord's asked me to do and be a watchman on the wall. Because according to the book of Ezekiel, if I don't tell you about these spiritual things, if you're dealing with them, and I don't give you an answer, then, and something happens to you, your blood is on my hands. And I'll have to walk through that for the rest of my life, and I'm not going to do that. Not when I'm compelled to do otherwise. Most religions do have a similar story, except for Christianity. There's no other religion with a redeemer, or that talks about sin that I know of. The stain on the soul. I ain't even calling it Christianity, because that brings up connotations of T.D. Jakes and Creflo Penny and all the rest of the name it, claim it, blab it, grab it prosperity preachers that have drugged my people into the mud and have conned old women out of their pensions and old men out of their retirement with promises of healing based on how much money you can give them. The Bible I read says, these things you shall do, and it's in red letters in mine. Heal the sick, raise the dead, speak in new tongues, and cast out devils. Every mad jack one of us should be able to do that, who believes in the Lord Jesus Christ and who's born again. You know how many times I've been called out to somebody's house, and they have a spirit, they have a devil, or whatever you want to call it in there, and they look me right in the eyes with all seriousness and say, I don't understand how this happens. I pray every day. I believe in the Lord Jesus. There ain't nothing moving around my house. I pull them covers over my head at night after a drive-by and go to sleep, knowing that I'm going to wake up the next morning unless the Lord wants otherwise. I can imagine. That has to be hell. But do you think all them people who sit in Joel Osteen's church believe that they're Christians? Kenneth Copeland, thank you, Levi. Kenneth Copeland's another one. He's a rank devil too. His eyes turned black, and what he's calling speaking in tongues, yeah, he's speaking in a different tongue, all right. That man had two voices that coming out of him at one point in time. I was watching it. His eyes turned black, just like the Queens, just like Sleepy Joe. Folks, if y'all can't see that this nation and all the way around the world, we're at the brink of war. You realize that, right? A world war. That's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen, but it blows my mind. It blows my mind how frivolous and how cavalier of an attitude some people have about it. Like they think the world's just going to keep turning like it was. Let me tell you something. If the lights go off right now, not to come back on for 6 weeks or ever again, there'll be kids and adults en masse getting rid of themselves. If they can't play their Xbox, if they can't buy the latest video game, I mean, folks, it's over with. You know that, and I know that. What are we teaching them? Are we teaching them how to survive off the land? What's poisonous and what's not? Are we putting a tablet in front of their face and telling them to go away? They get in trouble at school. Are we going up there cussing out the teacher? I mean, something's got to give at some point in time. And I'm awful critical and awful hard on the new generations, but the more I observe them, the more I see that there is some hope in them. They're smart. They're smarter than a lot of us, and they don't get caught up on this nonsense like race and political affiliations and standing on your opinion and letting that be the hill you die on. But that's neither here nor there, folks. The field of Bigfoot and Dogman and cryptids is madness. It's sheer madness. It's people looking into the dark and then wondering why things are happening in their homes that didn't happen before. They don't see the correlation. Sure, there's a surface level where you'd like to listen to an interesting story. That's fine. You may have a genuine interest in the field because you found out that monsters are real. That's everybody's. Who wouldn't understand that? If you knew that when they were talking about trolls under bridges in the 1600s, when the first settlers came, that was real. There's trolls under bridges now. Once you find that out and you take that to heart that that's the truth, you're gonna dive face first into it. Why wouldn't you? That's like if somebody knew that the tooth fairy was actually real and your parents were contractually obligated to some fallen angel entity that was a part of the Fae to not tell you that they're real. But yes, the actual tooth fairy is coming into your home through the wall or something. Yeah, you bust out your teeth just to put them under your pillow so you can see it. Some people stick their head in the fire if they knew they could see hell. But folks, that's why I'm telling you. You know it and I know it. We have to build those big, beautiful, insane asylums. We got to do it sooner than later. And because they're going to be filled to the capacity. As soon as they open up, they're going to be filled to capacity. It's I've never seen anything like it. Well, I have actually. There was a group of people at one point in time who were zealots. They would die on a hill, even if they didn't necessarily believe in what that hill stood for. Then these people, as a whole, started targeting another people that were a minority because of this, that, and the other thing. Some say it's a legitimate reason, some say it wasn't. Regardless of the fact, they tried to exterminate an entire race, so much so that they built museums in memory of them before they could even achieve the task. They knew they were going to get rid of them all. As crazy as it is, I can see it in this field too. Anyone who doesn't curtail to their way of thinking or the official narrative has to go. They just have to. If you're preaching anything against the narrative, you're an enemy of the state. So what's the narrative? It's open-ended, but it better end at this being a completely physical creature with nothing else going on with it. Folks, if you believe that, all you have to do is go to a young man's channel. Good guy. Forest beings and foraging. Let's look at some stuff together, shall we? Because bullshit ain't nothing but chewed up grass. Now, somebody's going to have to explain to me how this all physical creature, not anything weird about it. Oh, you'll see. No, they're not the Nephilim or nothing like that. Or are they? I'm comfortable to say my 39 years on planet Earth and all the learning that I've had, I'm not comfortable saying anything as an unequivocal fact. But I'm going to find out. I know when we did that expedition and all those Christian men were having fellowship at that fire, when Barry turned on that FLIR, you could see them all around. Just all around. On their bellies, like they were in the 1940s listening to the radio. Heads propped up on their hands. And they only started to disperse when we stopped and started moving towards them. Now, why, if these things were some sort of demonic entity, but I mean, I'm not saying that demons can't sit and listen to the word of God or anything like that, or listen to people's testimonies, but I don't think that's a preference. I think if they had a choice, they wouldn't. They're running out to Jesus like Ike Clanton when he went to the demon in the Gadarenes, when he went to that demonized man. I'm pretty sure they ain't trying to hear none of that stuff. Or they'd be running out in the middle of that fire and in the middle of us telling us to beat it, creep. Get lost with all those testimonies of Jesus. We ain't trying to hear all that. Now, this is what I believe is taking place. I believe, just like I've said 1,000 times before, that there is an absolute physical beast. Does that physical beast have supernatural abilities? I don't think so, but maybe. What people are calling infrasound is that's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard come out of a collegiate's mouth. Infrasound. So when I go up here, there's a place called Arbuckle Wilderness. It's in the Arbuckle Mountains, right north of me. Used to go every summer as a kid. We'd get in the back of my dad's truck, and because the animals will walk right up to you. They give you buckets of food and all that good stuff. And they'd put their, emus and llamas and giraffes and everything you can imagine. They'd put the killers behind closed doors, though, behind gates. But I always found it funny that was in the mountains, too, after you find out that these things are real. Because I've heard there's been sightings inside that zoo of them coming in there messing with those animals. But that'll be just like going to Arbuckle Wilderness as a kid, being in the back of Dad's truck and going by that tiger exhibit, and it was behind chain link fence, and that always made me nervous because I was an avid watcher of the History Channel, not the History Channel, the Discovery Channel. Love animals. When that thing would growl because it would be trying to exert dominance over my dad's truck, the rumbling of it, that 350, when that thing would growl, I should have been able to be hypnotized into taking off my clothes and folding them neatly, or become so sick I turn colors. Folks, speaking of text, we in that same expedition, we went up to the cemetery. He went earlier and went up multiple times. He was met at the top of that hill before you even get to the path to get into the cemetery by a creature. That creature had knocked down a tree by the time that we all got there to go up. It had knocked down a tree over the trail. Us being stupid, we looked at that as a sign to go ahead and enter anyways. We got in there and we were in the cemetery where the headstones are, right? We got right up to this path where we had saw bedding, we didn't see it until then, but there was bedding. They took these pine leaves and made a bed, and you could tell it'd been laid on. And Chuck Slaps put a recorder right there where that bed was. And it was the last ones, we were the first ones in, not the first one, Tex was. We were amongst the first ones in and the last guys out. I helped them gather his recorders. That recorder was there, but it was stopped. You could hear us walk away. And as soon as you can't hear our footfalls anymore, you hear two big ones. And then the recorder stops. They may not be ghosts or haints or ghouls, But they damn sure have an understanding that's beyond an orangutan. That thing was waiting, and it was waiting close enough, yet far enough away where we couldn't see him. Because we only heard two footfalls, heavy footfalls, on that tape recorder, and then it immediately goes off. That thing observed what we were doing. Maybe it didn't know completely what that thing was, but it was unnatural to its environment. Seen Chuck press a button, and he pressed another button. These things hearing it are phenomenal. And I believe that was a dog man too. The natives say that they live in vaults underneath the caskets. It would behoove people to listen when those Native Americans talk about this stuff, because they have an oral tradition that's more accurate than a lot of people's history books. Now, I'm not saying go out there and do the ghost dance or anything like that. You'd be asking for some trouble. Believe me, I'd know. No, I'm just kidding. But more importantly than all this stuff, this dogman stuff, did everybody see that there's a new Roadhouse movie? Can you believe it? Roadhouse. They got Jake Gyllenhaal in the Swayze's position. I think it's supposed to be his son or something. Nah, I'm going to jump in here and chat with y'all. I ain't going to leave y'all lingering. We have G. Reaper, Annie's Vincent, Brother Angelo, Mr. Kong, Matthew LaFleur, Miss Brooks, Abnormal Investigations, Flaming Tables Jr. Salute, Angelo. Appreciate that. Louisiana Crawfish. I mean, let's take a vote real fast. I didn't get everybody. Did I say Flaming Tables Jr.? Mitch the Stitch. Hey, Mitch, I've been seeing you going back through the old catalog. I appreciate that. Thank you for your kind words. Mid-South Sasquatch, another old schooler. Miss Sharon Whitson. Levi H. The great Nathan. Me and Nathan had a fantastic conversation about just this a little bit earlier. They are somehow bending light in the spectrum that we cannot see. It could be radiation, small amounts of radiation. And that's, you know what? I just thought, if it is, you can run that experiment. You can actually, well, I mean, in theory you can, I guess if you use a doctor, but they'd be putting their head in a noose if you got caught. But when you have film cameras and digital cameras that have the same anomaly that we call blob squatch, what do you call that? I mean, that's, I don't know. You see how frustrating this is? I don't know why, like, more, but see, there's people that have been in this for 20 years that never see nothing. The most tragic thing I've ever heard since I've started this was that there was this guy who, he bought an RV and he would, go out on the weekends, and he'd start going out a couple of days a week. Then he would go on expeditions every one he got a chance to, no matter what state it was in. Then his wife divorced him because she got sick of it. Then he continued to do it. He continued to go. He didn't care. But finally, old death came knocking on that door. That man died in that RV, never seeing anything. Except when he died, probably. I bet he saw what he was looking for then. And saw what was compelling him to give up on his family, give up on his wife, his kids, in pursuit of monsters from mythology and folklore. That they were never the protagonists that I've ever seen. How about y'all? Y'all remember them where they were the protagonists? Because I remember down in LaFleur County, they were definitely the villain. These things don't care about us. They don't care about us nearly as much as we care about them. That's why they watch. I could just hear him. Now, here come that damn human again. This time he's got a camera. What's he want? Well, just stay away from him. Don't say nothing. Maybe he'll go away. I mean, why would these things want anything to do with us? What do we do? What do we do for them? First off, what are we doing for them? Come in, we're throwing our trash down in there. We're going through their living room and their kitchens uninvited. Probably scaring away their game. But yeah, they don't want anything to do with us. I don't even want anything to do with most of us. And these things have 10,000 acres at some points that they can go and hide in, yet they're right on the peripheral. There's something else going on with them than them just being some sort of a regular old relic hominid. And folks, I'm telling you what I know, not what I think. These things they're gonna factor in the end. How could they not? How long do you think it's gonna be when those lights go off to never come back on again that they take notice, seeing as how they're right on the peripheral watching us? What kind of protection do you have from an alpha male, 8 feet tall, 1,000 pounds of muscle? What protection do you have? They use darkness to a better at a better facsimile, or they use darkness as I don't want to say darkness is their ally. I'm trying to avoid quoting a Batman movie, but you understand what I'm saying. They use it as a tool. They use the woods as technology. They have pitfalls. They're digging down in these river bottoms and in these floodplains because the soft topsoil and the compacted bottom soil are perfect. That, and it's always got trees all the way through it and bushes. Those roots are holding up that topsoil while they drag you down as you walk over them, and then the hole fills in itself like an antlion. They are top tier predators, and without the gun, they're at a higher level than us. Potentially at a higher level than us. Because I'd smoke one of their game without a gun. There's no doubt in my mind. You folks mark my words. Y'all think I'm joking. You'll see if Dion just kind of disappears, never to be seen again. That means I got one. Because if I missed, I don't mean like they'd probably whip my ass. I don't think they'd kill me. If they ever tried to lay harm to me, though, boy, I tell you what. They know that they mess with D-Dolls. So I'm taking an ear or something with me. Miss Sharon says, I believe they're still being held back a little, but as evil ramps up, they're popping up more and more. Isn't that something? My second year, I was noting this population boom. New creatures, new young ones and older ones, just showing up in an area. But then you see that it's all over the entirety of the United States, and I'll start talking to people in Australia, Germany. It's all over the world. The numbers are, I mean, how many times have you went on a picnic to a state or national park this year? Drop a 1 in the chat. Well, let's do it this way. Drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever been to a state or national park and spent the night. If you've ever been to a state or national park or national forest and had a camp out. Well, there's 2. Now, I'm not talking about some campgrounds, but I guess you have to count those, or there'd be nobody. Well, I got some country folks here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of 31? 11 out of 31. Well, raise my rent. So how many people, I mean, we have an inordinate amount of people here because there's a lot of people who are outdoorsmen. So how many people do you think in the United States out of what, are we 400 million yet? What's the population? I think we're at 400 million, right? Seemed like we've been flirting with that number for a long time, and somebody told me we passed it. Let's just say it's 400 million. How many people out of that 400 million? Let's play the Price is Right. How many people out of that 400 million do you think go to the woods? Let's take camping out of it. Out of the 400 million people, and take hunting out of it too. Let's say hikers, campers, whatever. How many people in the United States of America do you think go into the deep brush? Or even on the peripheral? Just go past the tree line. I'm gonna find that while y'all are calculating that answer. So I remember what it was 4 years ago, but folks, it was very, very shocking. Folks, remember to hit like and subscribe. It helps us in the algorithm, helps us grow. And share this video with your friends and family and enemies and your exes. And if you don't have an ex, then turn this podcast off and go find a girlfriend or a boyfriend. What are you doing? Listen to me. What am I going to tell? I'm talking about monsters. The FBI Black Vault's awesome. Or the FBI website in general. I like going to these government websites and getting the stuff because, I mean, they're going to give you a somewhat accurate number. So this is last year's. Approximately 25.9 million North American households went on more than 3 annual camping trips in a year. 25 million. So I got some mathematicians out there. That's a phenomenally low number. So 6.25%. So let's say 6% of the people in this country have gone camping 3 times. Now, even them, out of those people, they couldn't handle these things in their own environment on their own terms. They just couldn't do it. How crazy would it be? All it takes is one strategically placed electromagnetic pulse, and the lights go off forever. Forever. Do you think the way this country is right now, that we're ready for that? Take electromagnetic pulse out of it. With everything going on in the world, it could be a war. Lord forbid, I'm not speaking into existence. I mean, everybody knows that, but it could be. It's a possibility. What then? What do we do then? Like I said, folks, and I think y'all understand where I'm coming from, a vast amount of people are going to go ahead and get rid of themselves. No more Facebook to make posts where you can check 6, 7, 8, 9 times how many likes you got on it. No more Facebook at all. No more Instagram to push narratives and give a falsified version of yourself. It's just you and creation, and then monsters in the woods, and the natural monster. Let me tell you something. People worry about Bigfoot and Dogman. Have you ever seen a mountain lion close up without any kind of cage or glass between you? Have you ever been stalked through the woods by a mountain lion? Have you ever seen a black bear? We don't have a whole lot of top tier predators here in Oklahoma, but I've been a whole lot closer to a black bear than I care to mention, and I was stalked by a mountain lion. I'm pretty sure I plugged it, but I didn't see no blood, but it wasn't around when I was leaving that area either. I turned around. I was in this dried up, call it a slough. It really wasn't, but it was with the dirt on either side of me was raised, and I was sneaking on a property where there was stock ponds, so it was just perfect. And this thing was long, and I heard some rustling, and I felt that great disturbance in the forest. I turned around. This son of a gun is looking right at me, and you know how the cats, when they pounce, then they get down that pouncing position, how they'll start kind of scratching their paws and wiggling around so they can get a good grip before they jump. It was doing that. I had this 25 on me, and I shot every last bullet at it. First couple hit the dirt. I think the third one hit it, but I'm not sure. I was happy either way because it was gone by the time I was leaving. I'll tell you what, I was puckered up like an old drum. It was a long walk out of there. There's this golf course up on the Panhandle, and one of my buddies was dating a girl up there. This was when it was the Yahoo chat room, like y'all try to make it in there sometimes. And the dad owned a golf course, so we were trying to give them, their space and whatnot. But it was a small, ridiculously small town, and all the girls dipped chewing tobacco. Like I thought that was weird. I've seen it before. I have an aunt that dips chewing tobacco or snuff, but every single girl we went on the second night we were there, or the second day we were there, we went on what they call the drag, which was like 2 city blocks, and it was down to the downtown, which wasn't much to mention. And everybody hung out in the bank parking lot, dipping chaw and talking a bunch of nonsense nobody wanted to hear. But regardless of that, when we went back to their house, me being me, I just started wandering through the woods. And I saw something drop out of a tree. It was this big black mass. And, I had no idea that there were black bears up there. So my mom didn't immediately go there. And then I seen it moving around. I was like, what? And then it stood up. And then I backed up. Backed up for probably 100 yards. But when it stood up and dropped back down, that grass you could still see it. But I knew if it started bolting at me, I wouldn't anymore. So I just kind of, took it easy and eased my way on out of there. But let me tell you something. The natural creatures. That's not including all the venomous snakes. We're talking about 2. A black bear would smoke somebody's game. Quick, fast, and that's in a doggone hurry, folks. Make no mistake. People look at it like it's something minuscule because it's the smallest of the bears. No, there's nothing minuscule about it. It will hurt you, if not kill you. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie before. It's a watered down retelling of Hugh Glass, I believe his name is. This guy was attacked by a bear, left for dead by his friends, and crawled over 500 miles. Fought wolves for their food so he could survive. Rode a horse off a mountain, apparently. But this guy was Mr. Unkillable. They killed his son. There's a movie that came out called The Revenant. I believe it's called The Revenant. And it had Leonardo DiCaprio in it. We were sitting around, a buddy of mine, Mr. Merlin, talking about the scene of that bear attack. And I hadn't watched it since it came out in theaters. But I remember that it was a grisly scene. But I've been known to entertain one. But folks, I watched that again for the first time in a long time. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't. I refused. Just the sound effects was terrible. Him screaming, bones crunching. Like, no. But I did watch the very first part where he looks down and he sees those cubs. I mean, that was a very realistic scene. He looks down, he sees those cubs, and the mom is standing up about 30 yards away. She drops down to all fours, and before he could even think to run, she's on top of him. People don't understand that bears are monsters. Especially you get a grizzly bear. Are you kidding me? There's been reports. And I always add on 2 feet to anything giant that somebody says. I'll say they're adding on 2 feet. So subtract 2 feet. If you subtracted 2 feet from this thing, it would still be 17 feet long. It's up in the somewhere in northeast Oklahoma or something. And they say it's a black bear, but I don't believe that no more, and I can spread my arms and fly like an eagle. But it's kind of crazy. You got black bears that they've shot that have weighed in at like 600, 700 pounds. Easy. And they run like gazelles. They're sure-footed. You're going to be tripping and falling over every root and branch there is. And they climb down. You can't climb to get away from them. That's what they want you to do. I mean, they'll clamber up a tree so fast and make your head spin. I want to show you this clip because I know I got a lot of city slickers in here. I seen this and I had nightmares about it, folks. There was this bow hunter that was in a tree. And he pops this black bear. in the perspective of it, I mean, it's just like it's no different than that movie about Hugh Glass. I guess that's happened a lot since the last time I've seen that. But this thing gets shot, and it clambers up this tree so fast and make your head spin. I figured that'd be on the top on the list, but there's like 15, 20 of them. Ooh. All right, here we go. That's nightmare fuel. Like, again, so I don't know how many of y'all have been in the woods with any of these beasts or creatures, but the ones who have know exactly what I'm talking about. And for all the contributors, we're still trying to reach that goal of 30. If you want to contribute, use the links in the chat or the ones in the description box. And here we go. Watch this stuff. This is stupid. See, that's why you stalk hunt. Get your cowardly ass down there. All right. I'm going to take it that y'all can all see this. Check this out. Boom. On him. Are you kidding me? Oh, that's a cub too? No way. I'd have jumped out of that tree. Look, it looks like it's smiling. It's like, hey, humans. See that kid's eyes? He's smart enough to know to be scared. Oh, it looks like kid. That's an old man. He's doing a lot of moving around. That's when you that's a cub too. It's running up a tree like it's the ground. It can do that from being that young. I don't know about you folks, but that's nothing I want to mess with. Are you kidding me? I heard there's an old Indian guy that used to live here in town. He was old when I was a little kid. Oh, I'm sorry. Native American guy. He called himself an Indian, though, by the way. But he was a great uncle or an uncle to one of my best friends. And this friend had heard him time and time again telling these stories, but I loved it. I loved going over his house and just listening to him. And he said a specific word for the Squatch that I can't remember. But he said they're the night shift and the bears are the day shift. There's monsters at night and there's monsters during the day. Folks, make no mistake. A bear is a formidable opponent and another top tier predator. They eat the same resources. So just like when, and I made this comparison a long, long time ago, and I've heard it even in other areas outside of the crypto world, but it's what it is, I believe. People always ask, why don't Dogman and Bigfoot fight more? Why don't we see Dogman and Bigfoot bodies? Because they fight and kill each other. I don't believe they fight at all, because that would be stupid. You're a top tier predator. This other creature's a top tier predator. Just like the hippo and the crocodile in Africa. It's beautiful footage. You can see them like when the river's low. I find a lot of things in nature just beautiful. And this is one of them. You'll see these two monsters that would rip you apart in seconds. They would rip each other apart in seconds. And they're swimming on top of each other. They're trying their best not to, they're trying their best to avoid each other, to do everything under the sun and everything imaginable, not to pay attention to the other one. But I'll tell you what, folks, the cryptid world, again, it's gross. You know, I went through one of the most difficult parts of my life to get out and find not only the crazy ex, but somebody who I embraced as a brother. Slept in my home. They're now engaged and have been on a campaign, a mad tear to denigrate and try their best to destroy me. But they cannot curse that which God has blessed. So, Yosemite Sam, I'd quit if I were you. I'm just saying. That's a little segue. Pardon me, folks. They have spoken of my daughter and all sorts of things that are intimately personal, and they do so as if it's something piddly they're doing. What they're trying to do is to get me to lose my temper so they can see, aha, that video was true. I'm going to do a breakdown of that video. They got to do a video. There's a video, for all who don't know, that's circulating of the Bat Mom, she calls herself, Tess, not leaving my house because she slapped the fire out of her own son. But hindsight's 2020. It wasn't just a scheme that was proposed by her. It was her and her daughter and my roommate. And that's something I've had to deal with for the better part of 3 years. I don't stay in this field because I have an interest in these monsters. I have an answer that I have an answer that I'm comfortable with and that I have peace with. I stay in this field for you guys. I stay in this field because of my interest in just gaining knowledge from not only you, but from other places. But the top reason is the Lord's put it on my heart to pull people out of this darkness, to give them something besides what they're getting, which is nothing but demon worship. And they'll have to kill me to stop me. I mean, there's a couple that are in here that remember, because I remember them. Mid-South Sasquatch is one of them. G Reaper's one of them. Flaming Tables Jr. There's a couple of them in there. They remember when there was 9-10 people on my chat, and I was going for 6 hours laughing, having a good old time. Matthew LaFleur, he was there. He was the sergeant at arms of the field team. Chronic wasting disease, some prior. But see, that's when I was going hard to paint out in the field. So, what are you telling us this for, D? What's your solution? Because you sound unhappy in this field and all the devils that are running up and down it. I do have a solution. I'm going to go back to field work. I'm going to go back to field work, and you're going to start getting recorded content instead of live content. I'll do a live show once, twice a month, maybe. But and that's what the dragon wants. That's what the dragon that's called YouTube wants. You got to feed that dragon until its belly pops, or you won't grow. But the live shows are kind of lazy, and Lord's been riding me. Yeah, I gave you this talent, son. What are you doing? I'm like, yeah, you're right, Dad. I tripped out. My bad. Like, yeah, well, it'd be nice if it wouldn't happen no more. I'm like, you're right. You ever mow the lawn? This is for you men out there. You ever mow the lawn and your dad don't say nothing to you about it? He showed you how to do it. But when he gets home, you think you really done something. You go back and start playing Nintendo 64 or whatever. And he comes and you hear that chainsaw, you hear that lawnmower rev up, right? And you see him out there getting the spots you missed because you didn't do it like he told you to. You did it how you wanted to do it. It's pretty much what it boils down to. So, I have, from a Christian spirit, taken a lot of horse shit from a lot of people. That day is done. But they won't get a fight that they're thinking they're going to get. Like, nobody's going to go crazy and yell and scream. It'll be their turn to sit down in Stony Lonesome. 3 hots and a cot. Well, that's the truth, Levi. That's what we all do it. Even us born again believers who have a heart for the Lord. Daddy says to do it one way. We want to do the task that he set us to do. But we think we know better because we're just kids. You remember that age, 16, 17, 18. Your parents who've lived longer than you have, who are probably a carbon copy of you anyways, tell you something. They're like, oh, well, they don't know me. They don't understand what I'm going through and blah, 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 blah. And then you go and get yourself in a jam and you got your head held low when they come to you. And you think, man, if I would have done it this way, I'm an idiot. If I would have just listened. But this time it's life and death. And no, I can't pardon that. That's one of the big ones, Levi H. Can't be dropping them big boys in here. I forgive you. It'd be nice if it wouldn't happen no more, though. But I'll tell you what. Yes, prayers. Prayers for who? Who's living in D.C.? Mainline Mitch. You got to get out of that place. Land cheap in Oklahoma, Mississippi. There's a lot of good land down here. Missouri, or as you would call it, Missouri. I noticed that yesterday. I heard myself pronouncing it. I'm like, yeah, I gotta watch myself. I'm supposed to be speaking the Kings. So, is there any questions, comments, complaints? Moist Towelette? So, in other words, you'll be getting a late show. It just won't be live. I distract myself with you guys. I looked in there one week. I forget what I was talking about. It was sometime last week, maybe the week before. And people are trading recipes and stuff. I was like, okay. They must have found out I have a food channel too. Flaming Tables Jr. Question. Thank you for putting in all caps so I can see it too. Could space be considered a pit? I don't believe so. I don't think so. I think the pit's the pit. And I mean, like in the book of Jonah, it gives us a geographical location, which coincides with what science says. It's a good question, though. Do I what? Do I have a cooking channel? That's my business. No, I don't have no cooking channel. It's a food critic channel. I'm completely joking. I'm completely joking. I've been thinking about it, though. I love to eat awesome food. Take it easy. Don't make me pray you away. I don't want no trouble. Well, you got trouble, she said. Old Ike Clanton in there. Question. Flaming Tables Jr. always brings some good questions. Was Satan the only serpent? Were there more? That's a great question, too. By Jewish folklore, if you want to call it that, or Jewish writings, the serpent wasn't actually Satan or Lucifer. It was Simyaza, I believe the name is. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. I love watching cooking shows and eating. I'm fairly decent at cooking. Pretty good at cooking, actually. I just don't like to. But no, I want to just go to like these dives and diners and stuff, these small towns, and show off how awesome the food is there. Question by Levi H. About space. About space when it's as above, so below. What? About space when it's above, when it's as above. So I don't understand the question, bro. I'm sorry. Like, maybe try to like reword it or something. I'm a dumb country boy. You got to understand. No, bro. I don't want to do a YouTube short channel. I hate shorts. I got to make them for this channel. And so, yeah, that's enough for me. Levi's saying as above, so below. Does that change what the pit is? See, as above, so below is Aleister Crowley. The Bible says, let it be on earth as it is in heaven. See, I was talking about specifics. Like that's where you get put in jams. Like Aleister Crowley was talking about, or the Baphomet. It was way before Aleister Crowley. That as above, so below stuff is Gnostic and occultist. Like the Bible says, let it be on earth as it is in heaven. They took that and perverted it. Just like when that jabroni Aleister Crowley said, love is the law. He wasn't talking about like familial love or love that a wife has for a husband or husband for a wife or parents for their children. He was talking about sexual love. He's talking about that Marvin Gaye, Al Green love. Talking about that Jodeci. All right, never mind. I like when y'all ask questions. Yeah, stay away from Gnosticism. It's false and will only lead you to ruin. I respectfully disagree. You see, look, it depends on what kind of Gnostic teaching you're under. I don't suggest any Christian looking at that junk because you're right. It's a bottomless pit of madness. Even Paul said it. Paul put it best. Much book learning doth make one go mad. And you got to think, and this is what I believe. I talked to a preacher over on Dark Waters channel. It was a great interview. Speaking of which, after this show, I'm going to be posting. I just thought about it. I'm going to be posting the interview that our boy Merlin did, and I suggest everybody listen to it. It's pretty awesome. This man he saw hell open up. I'm sorry, he saw heaven open up, and he went to hell, and came back from both. It's powerful, folks. Powerful. Anyways, I've bored y'all enough. We got Squiffy Bear in here. Squiffy Bear and I are going to record her testimony tomorrow, which is phenomenal. And I think you'd be well blessed to hear it. So, yeah. Y'all are fantastic. Again, thank y'all. As above, so below is from the Emerald Tablets. Nah, there's 3 or 4 Emerald Tablets floating around. Is that Sitchin guy? That dude was a kook. He was nuttier than squirrel shit. He didn't have no kind of teaching, no kind of skills, or he didn't study any kind of ancient languages to be deciphering nothing. He was crazier than the bed bug. All right, folks, y'all are phenomenal. I'm DDoS, and I'll see y'all sometime. I don't know. I love y'all. Bye-bye.